So I just received this in the mail from LesDiy. They contacted me and offered to send me one of these sets, which I'm pretty excited about. Their Supercharged V8 block set. See how it goes. See how I like it and everything. Opening it up, this stands out to me. That's pretty cool considering Lego, they normally just give out like the little pry bar thing. So yeah, this is a Lego brick separator, and the blue one in there looks like their version of a brick separator, but it also comes with a pair of pliers, so that's pretty cool. I'll pull those out and see how they work. So this is just pretty standard pair of pliers, I guess. I know that as a kid, I would have loved these things. So this little guy, there's a couple functions. Like this, you can use to pop these guys out, where you put it in there and then use that to grab them. I don't think I would use that one that much because these are normally easy enough to pull out by hand. Then that little pin is just to push other ones through. This end you can use to grab these, which that could be handy for ones like this. However, this one, it won't go in there any further because that one's got a dead end in there. So I went to look at some actual Lego, and these ones are the same as this, where they have that dead end, but these blue ones, they work like that, and this would actually be really handy for something like this because normally these ones are really hard to get out. So this is a pretty cool little tool. Might not work all the time, but when it does, it'll definitely come in handy. And also in that bag there was this guy, which is just a measuring plate. So the side you can put studs on there and it tells you this one's 10 long. And because I'm curious, I want to see how compatible these pieces are together, because I know I've had other Lego compatible things that aren't truly compatible. They kind of have bad fitment, and this one seems okay. I'm using it on some old Lego. And these guys here, try that on there. That feels pretty normal to or pretty similar to normal Lego fitment, so that's kind of what I was concerned with. There's the instructions. Looks like a pretty decent quality book. All color, very similar to actual Lego, and all the views seem really close up and pretty detailed, so as I go through this I'll get a better idea of how nice everything is, but at first glance this all looks pretty nice, so see how it all works out. Looking at all these pieces here, I have a feeling I have to dump all of this out onto the table in order to build this. I don't think it's like Lego bags where they're numbered. And here are the motors that actually drive the engine. And I don't know if the batteries are included or if they're rechargeable or what at this point, so we'll find that out. So as I'm going here, it's definitely like you have to search through all the parts to find specific parts that you need. Just with this, it's going to make this take quite a bit longer. And I also noticed that this part, these holes are nice and clean on this side. They're not as clean on this side, so a little bit of a quality control thing, but I don't think it's going to be an issue there. I'll just poke this through, and yeah, still pokes through fine. Same on that side, it just bent that up and flicked off, so nothing major. So one other issue I've noticed here, this piece is this piece, and it says it's 1:1 scale, which it is not. And even with their measuring thing, this one is 7 long. So this is the correct piece for that, but I don't know if this book was originally designed to be printed a bit larger and they shrunk it down for manufacturing costs and did not remove the 1-to-1 scale thing, but it's a minor thing, but the 1-to-1 scale is not accurate. I noticed one thing, there's this stud on the side. Originally I had this piece sideways, but this part, it just hardly stays in there. Like it just pops in and out super easy. But then I flip it around and it stays in there pretty good. So that's another little quality control issue there, but it fits on this side, so as long as I can assemble this set, I'm not too worried about it. And here it is with 4 of the 8 cylinders done, all the valves rock, and yeah, so far, a couple little issues, but nothing too serious. It's all going together pretty good. And now that I got my mess kind of figured out where I know where stuff is, it's going a lot quicker. And there's the camshaft, so now it just needs some push rods for the valves. And I got all the push rods in. And you see the valves moving too. Pretty neat. So here I got the crankshaft partially assembled. But one thing that I noticed is these would stick out just a little bit and they'd catch on here just a tiny bit. It would still spin, but just to make it spin a little easier, I took a file and just touched this a little tiny bit, and now with that this can rotate nice and freely. And there's the completed crankshaft. It spins nice and freely, and the counterweights actually seem to make it pretty balanced, which is kind of cool. And now I've got all the pistons assembled and attached. This part could also be a little tricky. There we go. That is super cool. So I got the supercharger put together mostly, and the more I work on this set, the more I'm impressed with it. Like, that is so cool. This is a very well thought out set. And here's the completed supercharger. And now to put on a timing chain. There we go. And Boba's coming to take a look. There we are. And here's the distributor. And it's really cool that even the distributor is fairly realistic, where that'd be your contactor and all the contact points. So one thing that'd be cool about this model, like, I don't personally have kids, but if I had kids, it'd be a good way to explain how engines work, because basically all the parts that are necessary are there. And now I've got this around the valves, and that's probably the least sturdy part of the whole engine so far. Like, everything else is pretty solid, but I have the whole thing assembled, And one thing I was worried about was whether there'd be any missing pieces, but it actually gave me quite a few extras, which is nice to see. I'm just gonna try out the linkage here for these valves to start. And with this going, I notice it has an issue where it kind of stays up and doesn't drop all the way here. And I believe this here is supposed to work as a weight to hold it down, but it might just not be heavy enough. So I just added a couple little guys in here and these in here just for a little extra weight. Made sure that these pivot points weren't too tight there and there. And then I also shoved this all the way forward so that the weight of these wanting to close has a bit more leverage over this. And now it works. And now to try the motor. So now I just have the actual crankshaft motor plugged in, and I'll try this out. Okay, so the issue I was having was this peg was sticking out just a little bit too far, so when I pushed this motor on, it was pushing this, which was flexing the counterweight in and causing a binding going on. But now it's moving smoothly again, and let's see if it works now. So issue. Doesn't want to go. Oh, there we go. And now I'll try it with both motors attached. There we go. And I just threw one extra link in this belt so it's a little bit sloppier. And now it runs a lot faster, so I had too much tension on there. It was causing a little bit too much friction. A little bit of trouble turning here, and I think what's happening, like right now it's on, is the way these cams are, they kind of have flat sides, so then it sort of side loads on some of these when it's trying to turn, and then one of them will hold it up. If I hold this one, it doesn't have issues, I guess. But right now it's side loading it. Every time it comes around, it's trying to push on this. So if I hold this one back, it works fine. If I let go, sometimes it'll hang up, like right there. You see it slowly pushes it in. So what I might do is take this underneath on the top of this valve. I'm going to take that little nub off. So now I have this removed from the top of this valve. Put it on here so this doesn't actually drop down until it touches the camshaft. And that should help quite a bit with that one that's giving me issues. And now it's not holding up. So now I've gone and done the same thing to all of these, putting limiters on those and removing them from here. So now I won't get as much movement here because of that, but it should run a lot better. I'd rather it run smoothly than have full movement here, so Even though it's a little bit of an inconvenience to do that, I would recommend doing this if you get this model because it makes it run a lot better. And again, there it is running. And it runs a lot smoother now. Camshaft isn't giving me any issues. So there's been a couple little issues, but overall this is a super cool set and I'm really happy about it. And now for the review portion of this. This set, being 2,000 pieces, as far as time, it took between 6 and 8 hours, I think. I did it over a few days, so I wasn't keeping really good track of time on it. And I would have to say that this set is probably one of the hardest sets that I've made. And there's just a lot of parts where you have to be really careful to limit how much friction is between moving parts. Otherwise it doesn't work super nicely. So that being said, the pieces themselves, in comparison to actual Lego pieces, I would say they're about 90% of the quality of actual Lego pieces. There were a couple little fitment issues, mostly on these guys here. Some of them wouldn't fit very nice, but for the most part, everything fit together nice. Like just standard pieces like this, they actually seem to fit together a bit tighter than what actual Lego fits. So in some, the fitment's actually really good, and then some of them it was a little bit loose, but it was not very many at all. Like they say, it was mostly just these pieces here, and then there were some where the outside edges of holes had just a very thin flap of plastic partially covering the hole, but I was able to just push the axle piece through that and it cleaned that out, so not a huge deal. So then the design of this one through LesDiy, they actually have different designers make different sets. This one, it's actually designed by Ronald Toes, or Taze, I'm not entirely sure how to pronounce it, and then the instructions were made by someone that goes by Smudge. And different sets will be made and designed by different people. But as far as this one goes, I'm quite happy with it. There's a couple little changes I made that I see as an improvement. But yeah, it's a really impressive set. Everything was quite well designed, and I think this is probably my favorite set I have now. Like I said earlier, they sent me this for free to review it, so thank you again to LesDiy. That was really kind of them. And if you want to buy one of these or just look through their site, because they have all sorts of different things like different boats, cars, construction equipment, stuff like that, and then multiple different engine sets, like I think they have a Lamborghini engine model and a few others. If you want to look through there, I'll have a link in my bio and you can check that out. Yeah, every little detail on this I was surprised with, like how accurately everything was designed. So yeah, it's a really cool set, and they are reasonably priced. I was checking between a lot of the sets on LesDiy and comparing them to actual Lego sets, and on comparison of piece to piece, like this one being 2,000 pieces, finding a similar set like that that's Lego, they would be like 1.5 to 2 times as much for official Lego sets. The one issue is that the shipping does take quite a while. This one, I should check, but I believe it was between 3 and 4 weeks So it does take a little while to ship, so you have to be prepared for that. I'm really impressed with everything. There's only been a couple small issues, and I'm usually fairly critical of things, so most of them are issues that other people might not even pay attention to. So overall, I'm quite happy with them. So if you want to check them out, go ahead. And thanks for watching.